then I ended up as a PI. I was really
Salut.
How other species that are adapted to be very particular climatic regimes, instability of moving how it rears to, could be resistant or not, right? It's cascading effects for communicating. But it's also that it's not just climate change affects all of us in the same way. We want to say climate change is bad for us as humans, but it's much more bad if you are living
Arizona.
Very bioactive.
But our lectures were They don't have the rail, so they just like walk. Il y en a, hein. Allô. Regarde comme c'est joli. Là.
That's the one thing I like my. Hey, jetzt. Und jetzt dann und jetzt mal hier und jetzt mal da.
Yeah, you just switch the combinations.
Oh, I forgot the flash. Is it videoing? Did you see the number?
You're so cute.
Orada benim yarışmak birleşen biz bunu geri buradan
Das habe ich schon gedacht, das ist schön schwer. Et je me suis dit,
Ik heb de zoek staan op dat spel.
It's visiting.
Schattenseite. Ja, weißt du, wenn wir in Leipzig sind, glauben wir auch noch, wenn wir die Steffen in
toch suiker met mijn vriend. Ik zit hier nou gewoon meer voor pizza.
Aanschaffen.
Niet als je wordt.
That's my hobby. You know, this one interested in that like.
Ja, kom, Roos, daar stil niet.
Also, grüßen Sie. Also,